Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar. We're very happy to have you join us, and we have a power-packed panel, and looking forward to an exciting time of learning more about crypto and how it can help enhance social impact in our world today. To get us started, we have Eric Osuorah, Linda Goetze, and Linda Obi on the call. I am going to ask each of the panelists to introduce themselves. I'll start with Linda Goetze. Can you please, introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background and also your experience in this space?
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Eric, for the invitation to participate with you guys today. I've been engaged with blockchain since back late 2011 and had my first engagement with the Bitcoin blockchain in 2012. And it's been a progression of just watching an amazing ecosystem unfold, obviously not with just the Bitcoin blockchain, but then Ethereum and hundreds of others. And as we're working more towards the energy efficiencies and the focus on actually having positive implementations, not hype cycle, get rich quick type of schemes, but actually facilitating the responsible adoption of blockchain technology. It's been my pleasure to engage and lead and support the efforts of the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce and its membership, and very, very happy to see projects like AFOMA coming forward and being part of solving for real world issues and helping stay people-centric, where it's the human beings that need the benefits most that are really getting that through the technology implementation. So very, very happy to be here and looking forward to being part of the conversation.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Linda. It's great to have you on this panel with us. And again, we're very, very lucky to be learning and listening to industry experts like yourself. Linda Obi, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself next. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Patrick. My name is Linda Obi, and I currently lead the TechonomyAfrica team as founder. TechonomyAfrica is an e-learning platform that is keen on closing the knowledge gap, that surrounds and shrouds cryptocurrencies, blockchain technology, and of course, decentralized finance. And I mean, we're very excited to be here today. As I've mentioned, we are keen on education as a key driver to, the critical mass acceptance and mass adoption of cryptocurrencies and all the verticals, blockchain technology and all the verticals that comes from that, of which cryptocurrency is one of them. More importantly is that we are advancing the SDG goals 1, which is ending poverty, the SDG goals 4, which is quality education, and then the goals 5, which is gender equality. If you go through a deck, you see that we are solving, there are 3 problem statements, and we are keen on solving, creating solutions that are solving problems around those goals. We have a growing community of millennials and Gen Zs scattered across 20 plus African countries. And, as we believe that as globalization continues to spread, we want to see a lot of African talent on a seat and just a seat at the table and, just on a voice in conversations around emerging technologies and cryptocurrencies, because, we see the patterns and we kind of understand that this is going to be the future of money, take it or leave it, as we continue to transition into the digital transformational age of the year things around the metaverse. So yeah, we are positioned to, continue to close that knowledge gap and just see more and more African millennials and Gen Zs coming to their own. I come to you with over 18 years, as I said, experience working across diverse business environments. This would be ranging from prop tech to fintech to agtech, ex-farm crowdy, and I think that is where I pretty much, tried my hands on, or would I say I encountered blockchain for the very first time when I had to, try my hands on smart contracting with some of our partners, and then, just opened me to the entire ecosystem and all the possibilities that blockchain we could actually leverage blockchain as Africans. So yeah, I think not to bore you too much about what it is I've done in the past. I am very keen on driving Techonomy and just all the solutions and use cases that we can build together, which is why I'm very excited about the opportunity and, and this platform.
Thank you very much, Linda Obi. Again, it's great to have you on the panel, and thank you so much for joining us today. Eric Osuorah, I'm going to ask you to please introduce yourself, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Patrick. And first of all, I want to thank the two Lindas for being our panel members in this session. So I want to thank them for making out the time to join us and speak to our audience today. So as Patrick pointed out, my name is Eric Osuorah. I am the founder of AFOMA, and I am the founder of a not-for-profit organization registered here in Canada called Azoneta. And Azoneta pretty much is the mother of our ecosystem within the blockchain and space, which is AFOMA and other parts of our ecosystems that AFOMA will be driving. I started this journey through the humanitarian works that myself and my organization undertakes across sub-Saharan Africa. And through our works, I felt I wanted to do something more impactful. And thinking about that, I felt I wanted to find ways, not just throwing in money at the problem, but to actually enable people, right? So I felt building a platform that could enhance commerce or enhance individuals to actually leverage their skill set to actually lift them out of poverty. And that's why what AFOMA really drives. AFOMA is really designed around the social impact, designed around create the creatives or artisans across developing regions, specifically from Africa. So that's what led me down this path of AFOMA, where we'll be leveraging our digital asset, which is also named after my organization, AFOMA, where we'll intend to drive social impact in the ecosystems that will enable and incentivize communities, artisans, and artists across our marginalized regions. So once again, I am very pleased to be in the midst of two exceptional women, and I hope everyone would definitely benefit to listen and learn from the two Lindas because they are experts within this space. So I am also learning from both of them as well. So again, thank you to both of them for being here, and I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Eric Osuorah, Linda Goetze, and Linda Obi. And so we're going to go into some questions that we have for this panel. But before we do, I want to also thank everyone that has made out time to join us today. I know it's about 9 p.m.-ish in West Africa and about 3 p.m.-ish here in Canada. And so, again, I want to thank everyone that is joining us for today's webinar to talk about cryptocurrency and its ability to enhance social impact. And so let's take a look at how this year has been so far. Today is December 28th. Where in a couple of days we'll be in January of 2022. And cryptocurrencies has had a high adoption in developing nations and promises to create an everlasting social impact due to decentralized and inclusive nature. If you think about this year, we've seen the market cap for crypto on a global scale go up from $710 billion at the end of 2020 to about $2.2 trillion as of today. And we're seeing also different countries looking at regulating crypto and also looking at the potential for crypto as they look at the broader financial landscape. And so for Linda Obi, Linda Goetze, and Eric Osuorah, as leaders in this space, what are your thoughts on how this year has gone? And what do you think went well? What do you think didn't go well? And what do you see happening in 2022? And anybody can speak.
I'll jump in. There's been a lot of fun things, and obviously whenever there's an uptick in the price of Bitcoin, it gets a lot of news. Whenever you have an NFT sell in the tens of millions of dollars, it gets a lot of news. So we've had a lot of news, And I think the most important thing has not been so much that there has been a hype cycle in anything, whether you're looking at NFTs or DeFi, but that there has been an adoption cycle. And to me, when you see the fear of missing out driving people, and that's their only driver, then it really doesn't have a long-lasting positive impact, right? You get a lot of disillusionment, you get a lot of people that jump in, fall for scams, and then you get fallout that is really negative. When you have an adoption cycle, when you actually have people not acting on the fear of missing out, getting past their fear of the unknown, actually educating themselves about what this technology is, why it's important, where are the value propositions, and then doing something about it, engaging with the technology, then you have adoption. And that's what I've been most excited about this year. I've seen this not as a hype cycle, but as a positive adoption cycle. And we did have a lot of issues with wash trading, with hyped prices that weren't legitimate, with people taking flash loans and using them to purchase their own NFTs and make it look like the prices were in areas that they actually weren't. But we've had a lot of really amazing implementations of blockchain as well. We've had, I think the Blockchain Supply Chain Association just mentioned that on December 17th, Minex was actually proving the provenance of a kilo of gold that was mined in Burkina Faso, there in West Africa. And actually tracking that and proving where it came from, that it was mined sustainably, all of these aspects that we're looking for, the transparency, the accountability that blockchain can bring, actually being put to use. That's happened this year as well, right? So there's the adoption, more people than ever having crypto wallets. I think by the end of 2022, we'll be at 1 billion probably people that actually have crypto wallets that are engaging in a different way of doing business. And that's going to be through smart contracts. That's going to be through peer-to-peer exchanges. There's going to be a lot of opportunity, not only in the decentralized finance arena, but the enterprise. They're getting into the game very, very solidly. And so it's going to be a very interesting balancing act going forward. But I'm very excited with what's happened this year. And we have to recognize there's the pitfalls and, the bad actors, they're still around. But there's so much positive promise. And I see that Samson has his hand up. I don't know if we're taking questions yet or not, but I enjoy engagement with the community.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Linda. And I see Samson's hand up. We will take questions. Well, I ask that folks be patient with us because I want to really get all of the insights that this very rich panel has for us today. We'll have time at the end to take a few questions before we wrap up. Okay. Eric, Linda Obi, do you want to talk about what this year has been like?
Yeah.
And yeah, Linda, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I would say that cryptocurrencies and blockchain have been a hot topic, that have been discussed and debated. And, they are just coming to light as a financial tool that is accessible across a diverse consumer persona, if I have to put it that way. The barrier breakthrough with Bitcoin now allows businesses across the globe avoid complex financial transactions, typically conducted or that would have been conducted traditionally. This is speaking to, the uptick we need to see, especially here in Africa. Entrepreneurs are able to navigate international markets rather than strictly play locally, right? And, Bitcoin has proven to be highly utilitarian, given its ability to disrupt the financial order as we know it. The cryptocurrency industry continues to grow, and this can be confirmed by a staggering influx of early adopters, especially here in Africa. I am very keen, on how this has kind of impacted us here in Africa. And we see an increasing number of companies globally now, adopting Bitcoin and other digital assets for a host of investments, operational and transactional purpose. As with any frontier, there would be unknown dangers. I have to say this, but we also dare to say that as with this unknown danger, there are also very strong incentives here, which, certainly gives room for all the progressive regulatory conversations, which we hope that, conversations like this will start to spark. 2021 saw a surge in people's interest in cryptocurrencies. We saw a lot of venture capitalists and, investors openly back crypto and blockchain startups. And at this point, it would be good to note that the industry is only in its infancy and evolution is imminent. And I speak again for Africa as a continent. It's difficult to predict where things are headed long term, but in the coming months, experts would follow teams that leads that are on the corridors around regulation to institutional adoption of crypto payments, and just to get a better sense of the market. While exact predictions are almost impossible, I look forward to seeing mind-blowing use cases around crypto and its verticals. I look forward to all the incredible stuff going on in the NFT space as we're today, as Linda said. And of course, 2022 would be that year where we would see a lot of metaverse-based projects. It's going to be a wild year, and I just look forward to all the possibilities that would come out of it.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Linda Obi. Thank you very much for sharing those insights. Eric, I can see you have something to say, and I know you're a loaded guy, so go for it.
I always have something to say, and obviously I will pick up from what from the two Lindas. Much of last year and this year was a good year for the crypto market, regardless of the bad players that we keep talking about that operate within the crypto space, right? So the rise in the adoption of tokens, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on which perspective you're coming from, would, calls for regulations, for example, especially when we see a lot of these bad players that operate in this space, that usually triggers the call for regulations, which in my perspective is not a bad thing, as long as it doesn't negatively impact innovation, which in the long term or potentially can impact social initiatives or social impact initiatives, right? So, there are a number of positive things that we've seen so far from the crypto space, especially around the adoption of digital currencies as legal tenders in some countries. I think El Salvador already has put out Bitcoin as a legal tender within their country, and this will drive acceptance. It will drive acceptance and the application of crypto towards real world use cases, right? So predominantly, we're seeing a lot of use cases of crypto around DeFi and NFT and gaming and all whatnot. But my hope is that come 2022, I want to see more of these gains in the adoption of tokens around real world use cases. Because look, from what Linda Obi pointed out, we have to look at things from the perspective of Africa or other developing countries, right? We see a lot of adoptions towards DeFi, but at the end of the day, what impact is it creating for people in Africa, right? How does that put food on the table, right? So we have to look at other ways of leveraging crypto towards initiatives that can actually drive or incentivize people in these developing countries. And it is my hope that come 2022 that we start seeing a lot of these adoptions come forward.
Eric, I want to jump in right there. When you mentioned El Salvador, I actually had one of my friends, Quinn Button, who went down there to the Lightning Summit that happened just a couple of months ago. And she was talking about the adoption of Bitcoin in the country. And one of the very interesting things, and this kind of popped to mind when you said we need to incentivize, right, the community to engage. She said that the main incentive that the El Salvadorians had was that they were given a 50-cent discount per gallon of gas for using Bitcoin to pay for their gas.
Absolutely.
Right. So it was like they got an instant rebate just for using that different measure of value transfer. It's a very interesting adoption mechanism that they're using, but we have to be creative, right? We have to find ways to help people change their regular way of doing business, because if we don't push past the discomfort of change, most people are hardwired to just do what they're comfortable in, right? That just what they're used to. And we have a paradigm shift. We have a new way of doing business that is being enabled by blockchain. And so it's fun to have these different examples to point out to globally of where these incentives are being put in place. And I think the AFOMA platform is one of those that is offering the incentives to help change behavior as well. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because you know, as with our journey on the AFOMA ecosystem, right? I've been meeting with artisans, predominantly from Africa, and in my conversations with them, one of the challenges that they have is finding ways to break barriers, or finding ways to earn a lot of their profit margin into their own pockets, right? And these are the powers or the capabilities of what crypto does. And that was one of the reasons why when I looked at AFOMA, I said, we need to find ways to incentivize. And that's one of our ecosystems is actually driven, it's actually to drive incentives, right? We want to actually put money, we want to put, we want to incentivize people, put money back into their pockets, because as you rightly said, we have to change the way we do business today, right? So we can't just keep focusing on the, as they say, the 1%. It just doesn't create that cycle where everybody contributes in their own way. So we have to create something where we're creating more of a market economy or a market network where everybody can actually benefit from whatever projects that crypto projects that are out there or businesses that are out there. And at the end of the day, it just helps to lift people out of poverty. And once you create that platform, what you end up getting is more of a ripple effect where every other person can lift up others in that journey, right? So that's one of the key things that we hope to see come 2022.
Yeah, I like how this conversation is going, because it's one of the main things that attracted me to the AFOMA project is the social impact, opportunity, and possibility, the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of people. And I'll kind of like to zero in on that and pose a question to our panelists. When you think about crypto and you think about the opportunity for social impact, what do you see happening in 2022? What are the possibilities and what are potential challenges when it comes to enhancing social impact using cryptocurrency?
Well, I can take a stab at this one. So, I absolutely believe that the adoption of cryptocurrencies towards real world use cases will be key towards sustainability. Right. As I pointed out before, a lot of DeFi and NFT projects we see today, in my opinion, provide no direct impact to developing countries in any socially impacting way. Right. So take, for example, the ability to break payment barriers for businesses operating in regions like Africa, because imagine someone running a business in Africa, you can't scale out, or in a particular country in Africa, the challenge is scaling out beyond their local economy, right? So in my discussion with an artisan that we're working with today, Habiba, her challenge is scaling out beyond Nigeria. Why? Because when you have payment barrier, payment systems that are fragmented, she can't scale out beyond or engage with customers who are in Togo or who are in South Africa, or probably even in the US, because they just can't, either there isn't the payment systems that works in Nigeria doesn't work somewhere in South Africa, or it doesn't, or the US or Canada where I live, they don't support those payment systems, right? And we have so many payment systems across the globe today. So they either don't work, right? Or they just keep taking money before someone like Habiba can earn something that's worth her product. You've probably taken up a significant chunk of money out of that, right? So that's one aspect of it, right? So we need to, projects like that can help, enable them when we eliminate intermediaries. The challenge, of course, is the adoption, of crypto, which, as we know, are impacted by two things: the knowledge and understanding of cryptocurrency, right, and its acceptance. A lot of people, especially in Africa, see cryptocurrency as a scam. And that's where people like Linda Obi is really working on to actually change that narrative. And the reason why they see this as scams is because of, obviously, bad players and maybe the volatility of crypto or what they see on the news and all whatnot, right? But as long as we start changing the narrative and let people understand or have the knowledge of what cryptocurrency is and the advantages it brings, that can change things. However, as we start to see the application towards real world issues, such as incentivizing the knowledge and adoption of cryptocurrency to every person, we begin to change that narrative and create trust, which in my opinion is very key.
Yeah, and Eric, I see humans stepping up the good side of humanity. I even just looking at, some of the scams like Grim Finance, Bitmart, AscendiX, Bent Finance, all of them had issues. There were honeypots, there were smart contracts that were, written in with backdoors, double backdoors, kind of, things that many wouldn't have the acumen to be able to protect against, right? But it was in many of those communities, it was a bad actor, right? It wasn't that the project itself was a bad project or the totality of the humans that were part of the team were bad actors, right? It was a bad actor. It was a very small subset of humanity. And, when we look at the numbers, VCs, they invest knowing that 90% of the companies that they invest in are really not going to perform for them. But it's the 10% that do that make up for that and give them the exceptional gains that they work for, right? We had that happen, with the ICO timeframe, 90+% of those projects went bust. And it wasn't necessarily because they were all scams, right? Yeah. It, maybe some of them did have bad actors, but it was because startups in an emerging tech may go bust. That's just the numbers point to that probability. And so the educating and everything going forward, like I see 2022 as the year where we have to get education right. And there's some basic fundamentals that we have to put in the hands of everybody. One is we have to get access first, right? So I'm looking at the international satellite coverage that is going to enable that. That's going to empower people in the remotest areas of Africa, South America, India. That is going to be part of the toolkit that we have to help support the education, to help support the access. And then once we have that access, it's okay, do you know what you're engaging in? Are you connecting with the people and the organizations that have the intention to keep you safe, to help support you in this adoption cycle? And so I think that's really, really important that people are finding those touch points of dependability, people that have been just consistently showing up and acting in the best interests of the community. Those are your touch points to really grab onto during 2022 to make sure that as you engage in the adoption cycle, you're getting the best of, you're having a higher likelihood of getting that 10% that's going to be successful than, the potential of the 90% that's going to take from you. And I'm going to use a personal example just because it might stick in people's heads. I had COVID back in September, and one of the potential outcomes of that is hair loss. And I think it's, it's awful. I have lots of hair, right? But it's falling out. I don't know if you can see that, but it's falling out. And I've had people say, well, Linda, at least you started with a lot of hair, right? Like that's their response to me. And, I was thinking about that. And yes, I'm thankful that I started with a full head of hair. Losing it doesn't feel any better because I started with a lot, right? And it's an awareness of where you're starting at that is part of what people, as they get educated, need to be aware of. And a 10% investment when you have a lot is going to be different than a 10% investment when you have a little. And that doesn't mean that your 10% investment is any less. It's just where you're at, right? And you take the opportunity at the right level for where you're at, and that will help prevent against the massive losses, and it'll mitigate your risk as a human being. So I think that perspective building, right? Be aware of where you're starting, educate yourself as much as you possibly can. Like I'm looking at the vitamins and the minerals. What do I need to take to help give me a better outcome, just with my personal, hair care? That's a simple, biological thing, but our financial lives, the financial health that we have as human beings across the globe is something we have to take seriously. We have to, not take the orange pill, it's not just about Bitcoin, but we have to take the education seriously so that we're better prepared and invest appropriately and have better outcomes over time. And that's the other perspective. Time is your friend. Right? This is not a get rich quick scheme. If I had felt that way back in 2012, I wouldn't still hold any Bitcoin because there were so many hype cycles along the way. I was like, oh yay, I made 10 times, my money. I'm done. Yeah. This is a long-term adoption game, right? And it's something that, it's the game of life. It's part of our future. So 2022 is just going to be an extension of the game of life that we've all been in, but education and then diversification and appropriate risk allocation are going to be really key.
Wow. I'm so glad that this is being recorded. Because I can go back and replay it and listen to what you said. Linda, I just want to touch on something you said about, get rich quick scheme, and I think for me, for a long time, when I heard the word crypto, that was what came to mind. And I said, what, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. But how do we, from an education perspective, how do we, foster that knowledge that this can be used to enhance or improve the lives of people? And that crypto is here to stay, and crypto can make a difference in the lives of people.
Yeah, it really is helpful. I mean, for me, I have the experience base of 10 years, right? So I've lived it. I've felt the hype cycle. Some people are coming in just now going, what's crypto? What's the opportunity? And, they may see it go up or down, 20, 40, 50% in the period of a month or two. And that's their only reality, right? That's the only thing that they've experienced in this adoption cycle. And so to help communicate a long-term perspective is something that I believe is very, very empowering. And I was fortunate to be the youngest of 6 kids. So I got to watch my siblings make mistakes, and I learned from their mistakes so that I didn't have to repeat them, right? I had them sharing their learnings and watching as they went through certain periods in their life so that when I got there, I didn't have to make those same mistakes. And so I think that's the value proposition of people who are, what I call OGs, like the old guard, right? In the crypto space. They can share their experiences. People watching, you go and find out the path that different people have been on and what they've experienced and what they've said about that, and learn from that and then take your experience forward from those learnings. I mean, I know how powerful education can be and the pain points that it can save us from. And, you know, that's part of where my passion comes from, is I'm an educator. And I want to see people not have to experience, you know, total loss. I know there's people that have mortgaged their homes, put it all into a coin that ended up not being successful in what it said it would do. And they lost everything, right? And it wasn't something they really had to lose. They made a bet on something inappropriately. And so if we can learn from others' mistakes and not repeat them, and really be disciplined in our approach and understand it's a long game, I just think that's so empowering for people. We can't let people get stuck in that mentality of it's just to get rich quick, because I mean, I look at you, Patrick, and I'm like, you know, brilliant, smart man who was held back from engaging because you didn't want to be seen as someone just jumping into a frivolous, you know, get rich quick scheme. But had you had someone that said, you know, hey, it's a diversification for your portfolio, it's an uncorrelated asset class, it's something that is a potential chaos hedge, it can protect against inflation, you know, you maybe would have looked at it differently and made a measured bet. And, you know, you can still call it a bet, but if it's measured, it's appropriate, right? If it's based on what your current investable assets are, then you're making an informed decision, and it's no longer in that get rich quick scheme, or, you know, just jump in because you're afraid of missing out. It's a whole different, actually, an intelligent way to address your future finances. So yeah, its perspective is key for sure.
Very true, very true. Oh my goodness, we're at 3:36 Eastern time, and we have until 4 o'clock. Two words that come to mind that I would like us to talk about: NFTs and metaverse. And so let's start with NFTs. You know, when you think about the NFT space and what's happening, and you look at next year, what do you think next year will look like for NFTs, and how can we turn that around to enhance social impact as we think about cryptocurrencies?
I don't know if I don't know if Linda Obi wants to take that one, because I've been watching her videos that she puts up every week. So I'll probably let her take a crack at that one before I respond. I don't know if Linda, you want to take that one? Oh, probably lost Linda.
It looks like we might have.
Okay.
Oh no, she's here. It looks like she's muted, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think she's trying to connect to connect her audio, and she'll be joining us soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll hit it a little bit. You know, just because there's so much fun stuff that has happened and is happening with NFTs, and if you can look past, you know, some of the inappropriate ways that the values of different NFTs have been artificially raised, there's some really good purpose-driven NFT projects. And one of them I'll just highlight. It's coming out in March, I believe, of 2022. It's called Bit Butts. And we have a number of amazing people who have been involved in really iconic projects in the past, like Scooby-Doo or Thomas the Tank Engine. They're artists, they're graphic artists, they're creatives, and they are actually creating thousands of unique butts to help raise funds for research for colorectal cancer. Now, that's not a fun thing to talk about. It's a really, really uncomfortable thing to address. You know, my mother had colon cancer. It was one of the most scary timeframes in my young life. And fortunately, she survived it, and is 84 today. So very, very thankful to have her. But these NFTs are purpose driven. They are being created. There's a lot of fun. Obviously, you can joke a lot. You know, I grew up with the song, you know, I like big butts and I cannot lie. You know, there's a lot of, you know, kind of ways to play with that NFT focus, but the fact that it's being directed towards a positive human outcome is what I find so empowering about it. And it's just the creativity in the space. It's the amazing resourcefulness of people and artists connecting their art to good intention, to technology, and then executing on it. And I have so much, positive expectation of what's going to happen with NFTs. We look at, supply chain, which is where I have a lot of personal focus and investment with DFM Data Corp. And, I'm seeing NFTs being able to be programmable and being part of tracking throughout the supply chain. So we start with a unique identifier for an individual load, and that's an NFT, and it can be engaged with throughout the supply chain and uniquely identified, tracked, and supported. It's a game changer for visibility, for us to really know what's available where, for national security for any country, to know where their natural resources are, to be able to track and trace and access things in real time is so vital. So I see this happening in the land registry arena as well. Smallhold farmers being able to have NFTs that represent their ownership and be able to transact and transfer without the onerous legal fees that they may currently have to pay, where they're actually being robbed as part of the sales process because of the inappropriate costs for actually being able to legally transfer, improve their ownership. These are all applications that are going to be, and are some of them already in application. So I have, and that's on the NFT side, and I'll let others speak. And then on the metaverse side, I can't wait to share a little bit more on what I see happening there as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Linda Goetze. We're going to come back to the metaverse. Well, I think Linda Obi is also back online, and Linda, we're talking about NFTs and 2022. Take it away.
Oh, well, I think there's been a lot of buzz around NFTs, as it were. A lot of people do not understand it. I, for one, did not understand it for the longest, but research, and which is why I always talk about education being very integral, and should be at the center, at the core of these things. Yeah, NFTs are here to stay, whether we like it or not. I believe that it's going to be that.
I think we're losing you, Linda. Okay, I think we lost her.
I think we lost Linda, but she said something. She said NFTs are here to stay.
Yes, I think I got that. Yes, I got that. While we're waiting for her to get back, I can just touch on that while Linda is trying to get her connection back. So yes, NFTs are totally a game changer. For example, in March of this year, I think there's a gentleman from a Nigerian artist, I think Jekon Osinachi. He sold, I think, about 75,000 worth of crypto art over a 10-day period. So you can imagine the impact of that right now. And I think that's where Linda Obi was coming from. We also have to factor in, putting into consideration that we are still at an early stage with NFTs, right? We are yet to actually tap into the potential that it can bring in. We are at an early stage in Africa, even across the globe, because if I'm correct, NFTs only account for about 1% of the global art market today, right? So in the developing world, the knowledge and understanding is lacking. That there's no doubt about that, right? I mean, if you ask someone from Africa, specifically artists, what an NFT is, you may get a few who are on a high level, you know, they understand what NFTs are. However, the question is, do they really appreciate the value they bring, right? My brother-in-law we used to be a journalist, and he took a lot of did a lot of coverage in terms of events happening across Nigeria and probably parts of West Africa as well. And imagine I heard a story. I was chatting with my sister a few weeks ago about how he took a picture during an event that was happening in Nigeria, and he took a picture, and that was a very important capture, like a big deal. I think maybe some political event, right? So an event that was happening in Nigeria at the time, and unfortunately, he lost. I mean, he didn't lose it, but someone actually claimed ownership of that digital asset that he had. And these are the problems that we're trying to leverage, or NFTs. These are where NFTs can come into play, right? Where someone, an artisan, or an artist who is in some of these developing countries, can take ownership of their own valuable digital asset, right? And at the end of the day, they can earn royalties with that, right? This is key, right? Because what we see a lot of these things where people, unique art or unique digital arts are lost, right? And predominantly because people don't understand the value of what they have. So NFTs definitely would go a long way in providing that needed enhancements to actually protect artists who are in these developing regions to actually benefit or generate value for their unique art. So the challenge again because when you look at things from a developing world perspective, the challenge again would be in terms of that education which Linda Obi keeps talking about, right? Making them understand the value that this technology brings, right? And they have to be willing to learn as well. The willingness has to be there. They have to be willing to learn. They have to be willing to adopt these technologies to their own benefit. I was speaking to an artisan a few months ago, and just outside the whole NFT space, I was saying, I was giving would you be open to accepting crypto as a payment? And she goes, I don't even know what that means, right? And I said, would you be even open to learn what it means? And the willingness has to be there. And the other challenge again, which is always the core issue with Africa, is internet connectivity, right? So for artists in these developing regions to benefit from the opportunities of what NFTs bring, internet connectivity will be key. But regardless, Africa should not be left behind. Developing regions should not be left behind, because if someone can earn $75,000 through crypto art over a 10-day period, I think that's pretty much a huge investment anybody would buy into, right? But the adoption has to be there. The understanding has to be there. And obviously through one of our, what AFOMA is pushing, because we, as part of our roadmap, we are looking at an NFT marketplace. Our vision is to collaborate with partners where we can help educate people, right? So that artists who are in these developing regions, through we can help them, curate their artwork and help them, encourage them at the end of the day, right? So that's really what the key is at the end of the day. So our vision is to actually help enable these artists that are across developing regions, and enable them and enhance them so that they can leverage the value that their unique product or unique assets can offer. And that's one of our visions at AFOMA, to actually leverage that through our NFT marketplace.
Thank you very much, Eric, and glad that we have Linda Obi back. And her voice keeps ringing in my head when she said NFTs are here to stay. Linda, why did you say that?
Okay, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer, right? Can you hear me now, Patrick?
Yes,
I'm not
I can
sure
hear you
because
very
my
well.
internet
I hear
is
very
very
well.
shaky. Yeah. I think it's a no-brainer. With the emergence of the what's it called, the metaverse, NFTs are going to play a very integral part. And I see how, I just see how it makes sense, right? We have all the balls around the central land, and I mean, it's token. We have NFTs. We have, what's this popular NFT? Please do indicate if you cannot hear me so I can just go back.
Yeah.
We have the board, is it the board APH club thing going on? And I mean, people are, cashing out with these things, right? At the very initial, I didn't understand how it made sense. I could screen munch, I could do a screen munch, it's a JPEG at the end of the day. But you see how, what we have, physical assets, make sense now. As we continue to transition into the metaverse, where a lot of things are going to be very digital, you're going to own, they're already selling digital lands for as much as God knows how much, it's in the millions of dollars. We saw what's it called, a yacht sold on the metaverse for about 650K. We have the likes of Snoop Dogg, what's it called, owning a land I think around with Decentraland and the likes. And then you see a lot, pop culture is also taking form. You have a lot of African artists going into that space. At first, with what I do at TechonomyAfrica, I reached out to a lot of African artists to see what they feel or what they think about NFTs. Oh, you do very good work. Why don't you, mint this as an NFT? And then I got a lot of pushback to say, oh no, we don't understand it. Just as Eric said, another would say, oh, it's very expensive. Oh, I don't even know where to list my NFTs and the likes. But as you're going to research further and hoping for the bubble to burst, if it would burst, right, you're going to see that it just continues to wax stronger, right? And the whole metaverse thing came, and while we're still scrabbling to understand what NFTs are, we have, there's the metaverse, and we need now to start fully understand the concept of the metaverse. What would be the currency of the metaverse? What would what's it called, make sense in the metaverse? And if you think about it critically, there's no fiat anything in the metaverse. It's not going to be. It's going to be very digital. And what is making sense to me as it is now, and this is me speaking from a leader's perspective, is that NFTs are here, they're going to stay. It's not a bubble, it's not going to burst anytime soon. Pretty much the way we had Bitcoin come, and then of course we have the naysayers, and you have the people who are the evangelists of this thing, and then we've seen that. So I think at the end of the day, it's the value that the people are willing to place on it that gives it credence. And NFTs are here, like it or not, take it or leave it, mint it or not, buy it or not, they're here. But we'll see what 2022 holds.
Okay, thank you very much, Linda. Oh my goodness, we have about 7 more minutes to go. Well, I want to ask one question, and then I'll throw it open to 1 or 2 questions from our audience. Metaverse, can someone explain what metaverse is in a way that a 5-year-old can understand it, and then tie it into social impact? How is it going to influence social impact in the future? And I'll let anyone on the panel take a stab at that.
So I'll just go quickly and then let everybody else, because my internet keeps going off and on. I think the metaverse is a virtual world, right? And pretty much like, the .com came, internet came, while we're still struggling to understand what it was. We had billionaires off of that. And the metaverse is just that, right? Tying it to social impact would mean that you have to scale projects out of the metaverse. With scale comes, social impact, social upliftment, and all of that. So I would say that we need to see a lot of, use cases and a lot of metaverse-based projects come out, say, in 2022. I know that we have a lot on the works. I had the chance, to experience the Facebook horizon with my son. I was like, okay, this is mind-blowing stuff, right? And that is what it feels like. That is what the metaverse would feel like. Like I said, social impacts would come on scale. Now, scale would be global. It has to be global, because when we talk about social impact, as much as we talk about social impact intend to look at or want to look at, underdeveloped and developing countries. Africa is a continent that has a lot of underdeveloping countries, and until we get projects that, fits into what it is we're trying to do, we're first trying to scale adoption, we're trying to use education as a driver. Part of the projects that are coming out of TechonomyAfrica learning, pretty much, what Linda spoke to. It will see a lot of it. Oh, so you come and learn this, you answer this, you get these quizzes right, and you earn this. It could be an NFT, it could be anything. And we're going to see a lot of decentralized autonomous organization reach before we start to tie, social impact projects to anything that comes out of the metaverse as it were. And this is just my opinion. I'm keen on hearing and just listening on everybody else.
Thank you very much, Linda. Linda Goetze.
Yeah, no, this is an exciting time, and we have a lot of companies that are creating the metaverse, right? That's just like we have the blockchain. The blockchain does not exist, just for everybody's information. If you see the blockchain and someone hasn't said the Bitcoin blockchain or the Ethereum blockchain, they don't know what they're talking about. And I've been guilty of that myself in the past. So just heads up on how you use your words. So when you say the metaverse, is there the metaverse, or is there a centralized version of a company's representation of what they believe the metaverse should look like? And they've invited other people into their metaverse, right? What I see as the future is an omniverse, where every single one of us as human beings have our representation of the digital world that we see from our perspective. And it can connect and disconnect from others' worlds and perspectives at our choice. And that, to me, is going to be true digital agency. And there's tech stacks that currently enable that already, but the actual evolution of that, I mean, this is a paradigm shift. This is a different ontology. This is I don't even know how to explain how big a shift this is from the way the world has worked in the past. Right? We have been, with the current structure of the web, we have provisioned ourselves into other people's spaces, right? Our username and passwords just gives us permission to give someone else our digital footprint, right? That needs to change. The value doesn't go to the human being when that's the model that you're living in. So for us to look at the future, to say these interconnected metaverses are going to be part of a greater universal framework of things, where any blockchain can just be acted upon as a thing, right? Any human being, and I'm not saying that we become not human, but in the digital world, we are just things that interact with other things. And we can have AI, we can have digital agents that act on our behalf in the digital world to transact, to engage, to share our data, to withhold our data, to encrypt our data. All of that's going to be possible and necessary as we take ownership of our digital lives. And that hasn't been possible in the past. That's the empowerment for humanity. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. If you can have digital agency, the creativity of humanity is going to come out. And that creativity resides in every ethnicity, in every people group, on every continent. So I'm excited to see where this goes, but let's not get stuck in any one metaverse and see it as the only place, especially if that metaverse has been created by a very centralized, controlling entity. We as human beings need to take possession of our metaverse and understand our place in the greater omniverse. So that's my take on it.
Wow, thank you, Linda Goetze. Eric, there's a question in the chat. Do you want to take that?
Yeah, I can take that. But I'm hoping I'm answering the right question based on the question there. yeah, the way we are looking at our metaverse, because as Linda pointed out, is more about the way I view it, and I'm sure the rest of the co-founding team looks at that as well. Is we are all part of an omniverse, right? We will have where metaverses will be all interconnected. One of our ways, our vision at AFOMA is we intend to build or leverage, build out our own metaverse in a which is really what it is. It's a decentralized model that allows our metaverse to promote business models, right? In terms of where artisans, artists can actually showcase, for example, in our case, where our metaverse is called AFOMA Land, where we intend to showcase rich experience of culture, right? To actually help these artisans engage with all other interconnected metaverses. So imagine yourself in this virtual world, and if, for example, our own one of our ecosystems, which is Celitic, that actually promotes artisans and artists in this e-commerce platform. So imagine an interconnected platform of metaverses or network of metaverses, right? To enable businesses, we do not want to have regions like Africa left behind. We want to enable commerce in that metaverse, right? So imagine where you can be connected on our metaverse. You have a product you want to buy. You're scanning through. You're interacting with these artisans or artists. You buy a product, checks out, and it gets shipped out, right? That is for us the future, because really what the metaverse is all about being the next generation of the internet, right? Are we going to get there? That is what it's tagged out to be. The question is, are we going to get there? Yes, we are working to get there. And our vision is, again, we don't want to leave Africa behind, regardless of all of the challenges we're having in these regions or in other developing countries. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we obviously want to look at things more from a commerce incentive platform that can enable businesses, right? And that's pretty much what our vision is at AFOMA. So just stay tuned and let's see what we have to offer in the coming year.
Thank you very much, Eric. Our time is up. We're 2 minutes past 10 p.m. But to wrap up, I'm going to ask each of the panelists to say something, to leave us with something when you think about, kind of to summarize the whole conversation around cryptocurrencies, enhancing social impact. What would you like to leave the audience with as we close today's webinar? Linda Goetze, can I put you on the spot to start off?
You said you weren't going to do that.
I know.
No, I'm just going to throw back to my experience as a teacher. And I had two rules. One was for myself and one was for my students. And for me, it was inspire desire. That was my only rule. And for my students, it was make good choices. And so my recommendation to anyone who's been listening, who wants to know more, is if we have inspired your desire to do that, then make a good choice to engage with education, to connect with people of integrity, and then do something, act. Don't just sit on knowledge and not take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of you, because we're just at the beginning stages. I know I said I've been, for the last 10 years, but the adoption cycle is such that early adopters, we have this long tail that nobody else is really participating. And then it goes like this, right? And right now we're kind of right at that inflection point where the adoption cycle is really beginning to take hold. And now is the time to make sure that you're educating yourself and that you're taking action. So look forward to connecting with anyone on LinkedIn that wants to connect. And this is an amazing arena to participate in responsibly.
Thank you very much, Linda. Linda Obi.
Yeah, I mean, it just pretty summarize. Linda summarizes it very nicely. I see a lot of, I see the comments in the chat section saying, oh, I want to get into crypto, I want to do this, I want to do that. Just as she has said, I mean, if we've inspired you to, I mean, if you evoked some kind of action, I would say, and just mirror her sentiment to say that education remains very key and integral, and you just want to do a lot of research, education of it, right? I see that there's a lot of buzz, there's a lot of hype around crypto assets, with Bitcoin in particular. Here in Nigeria, here, oh, Bitcoin is Bitcoin, that, oh, Bitcoin is dropping, Bitcoin. But really, do you know the fundamentals of Bitcoin? Do you understand what it really means, right, to hold Bitcoin? Do you understand where you hold your Bitcoin? Do you understand how you transact, so that you don't fall prey to scam artists at the end of the day? If you're in it for, just wanting to get rich very quickly, then I say that, I mean, it's not bad, but I'm saying that you would want to do your research and, I mean, come into it for the right intentions, learn as much as you can, go on the platform. TechonomyAfrica, I want to say that we kind of speak to the African audience. So we know that there are a lot of crypto news out there. But, one thing that we saw as a problem was that it was tailored to a global audience. There is no Africanness in it. We bring it down home. We kind of, interpret it and break it down to, its most granular form. You are able to pick something. So research, and then
I think
when you've kind of found purpose, anybody, right? So take advantage.
Okay,
Wow.
I think we lost
her now.
Yeah, but I think one thing that was standing out strong is the education. Do your research. And again, being on what Linda Goetze said, find people of integrity to work with. Eric, I'm going to ask you to wrap up for us with a word or two, and then we'll take time to thank everyone. Eric,
Yeah,
over to you.
Sure. I mean, Linda Obi and Linda Goetze they've said it all, right? I mean, it's one thing to look at crypto projects, and I see a lot of people who just go the hype is just there. Every time on my Twitter, I'm always seeing, oh, will Bitcoin hit 100,000? Oh, will Bitcoin hit this? And it just triggers people's sentiment and belief of like, oh, I should just keep going. But I keep telling people within my network that look at the project. Take your time to actually look at what the crypto is about, because it's when you invest, when you fall for the hype, you then get into you then play into the hands of the bad actors at the end of the day. So take the time, do your research, look at projects like AFOMA, and then be part of what we're trying to build out here, as we are trying to engage and trying to enable build a community where developing nations can be part of, right? So that's what I will encourage people. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. Follow Linda Goetze and Linda Obi. They always, from time to time, you get to learn from them, right? Especially TechonomyAfrica. They put out a lot of educational snippets from time to time on a weekly basis. So I would encourage people to actually follow us across social media channels and reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be glad to give you a crash course, or even put you in the hands of our blockchain strategies that can educate them on anything that they will want to know about crypto, AFOMA, all of our social impact ecosystems. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Eric. Very well said. And thank you very much, Linda Goetze, Linda Obi. Thank you for joining us today. This was very insightful. And also to our audience, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for joining us. And great questions that were asked. I hope you had the answers to your questions. Please feel free to follow our panelists on social media, Linda Goetze, Linda Obi, and Eric Osuorah, AFOMA. Follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and Happy New Year in advance. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.